let's get into this roster and who is on it, starting with the goalkeepers. We got Angelina Anderson, Claudia Dickey, and Mandy McGlynn. For defenders, there are 10 in Carrie Abello, Jordan Bugg, Naomi Girma, Lily Reel, Tara McYown, Avery Patterson, Izzy Rodriguez, Emily Sams, Emily Sonnet, and Gisele Thompson. Midfielders, 6 with Croy Bethune, Sam Coffey, Claire Hutton, Rose Lavelle, Sam Mesa, Olivia Moultrie, and the forwards also with 6 with Lynn Biondolo, Michelle Cooper, Yasmin Ryan, Emma Sears, Ali Setnor, and Alyssa Thompson. What a roster. Darian, you got to hit me with your first thoughts. You see this roster, you drop it in front of yourself and you start combing through it. What are the things that stand out to you right away?
Initial thought is you can never predict what the hell a roster is going to look like under Emma Hayes. And I absolutely love that because we've talked how U.S. soccer for so long was you could predict every single position besides maybe one, a new player that may get called in, a familiar face that's kind of been in and out. And now, especially the players, the bubble players, where I see like an Emma Sears, a Yasmin Ryan, that we don't consistently get called in, it just proves to show, hey, if you're performing well with club, you're going to get another chance. Maybe it's not right now. Maybe it's in the next window. Maybe it's in a couple months. She's consistently stayed true to those words. We love Emma Hayes. But the number one thing that stood out to me, Croy Bethune and Rose Lavelle are back, baby. They're back with the women's national team. We've been missing that flair, that dribbling, that savviness on the ball that I think differentiates these players and adds just another level to that midfield that is much different than what we've seen the past few rosters that have been announced in the past few games. So I love this. I think it's going to be a huge asset for the forwards that are brought into this camp as well when you have cheeky players like that are hungry to get minutes at this stage. So that was probably the most exciting thing that I saw. But what stood out to you, my bud?
I gotta say the return from injury, like Rose Lavelle, is a huge one. Like, can't ignore that, right? This is the player who essentially has not been in the mix for U.S. Women's National Team roughly going on 7 months. Following those friendlies that she participated in against the Netherlands to close out the 2024 calendar year, Rose Lavelle had ankle surgery, and ankle's a tricky thing. Like, you never know how that's gonna go. You're like, preach. You got to take your time with that. You got to have your check-ins and you got to listen to your body, right? And turns out Roosevelt has been putting together some minutes for Gotham, and obviously has shown that she has most likely is still that same impactful player that we know her to be, even with just some of the limited minutes or minutes restriction that we have seen her on so far. And so it's not too surprising after she's put together a couple of good performances for Gotham to see her back in the mix for this one, especially with the game on the horizon in her hometown. So I'm excited to see that. But I also, in that same breath, very excited to see Croy Bethune, someone I think in one of our last USWNT episodes that I was excited to see, like, what's this roster going to look like when a Croy Bethune is getting those minutes and is healthy? And we're going to get to find out. So I love when we just sort of speak it into existence and then it happens. And speaking
power of manifesting.
Yes. And speaking of the power of manifesting, you already know I was thrilled to see Kansas City Current Izzy Rodriguez on this roster. I gotta use this time. I'm going to go ahead and reclaim it, Darian. I'm going to reclaim my time. I have been on the Izzy Rodriguez hype
You
train.
have.
Sola. I've been riding that alone. Solo. I've tried to nominate her a couple times for our team of the week. I've been talked down. I've conceded. But I just felt a little bit of validation in this. I'm like, yes, here we go. Izzy Rodriguez in the mix. And I was like, of course, it's not just one, though, with Emma Hayes on this roster. It's never just like one player that's getting that first-time call-up. No, it's always like a handful of them. And that's also the case in this roster as well. 4 players across this roster who are earning their first ever call-ups. Along with Izzy Rodriguez, there's also Jordan Bugg, Lily Reel, and midfielder Sam Mesa. Darian, of these 4 players, who's one that stands out to you? Who's one that you want to see, that you absolutely want to see get some minutes over the course of these 3 games with the national team?
Lily Reel. That left back position, to me, when Crystal Dunn isn't in camp, is wide open. I think that's actually the most coveted position if you're a young player looking to break into the national team, that you should be developing your game to make the team on. Because Crystal playing, we don't know where she's going to go next. She's playing abroad right now. She's overseas. She's taking some rest. But I don't think U.S. Soccer has ever had a truly valid backup to Crystal Dunn. Say if she gets injured, knock on wood, or just life happens, or she's not able to make a window, or just some matches. You need somebody that can maintain that level, that service, that reliability, that dependability in the back line. And for me, I think Lily Real needs to improve defensively, and I think this is a way where we're going to see her game jump. But what she can bring attacking wise to me is better than the rest of the players in that position right now. I think her service off of her left is incredible. She can pick people out on a dime. The way that she gets end line, her combination play with those in front of her, we're seeing that build in her game. I absolutely love this call up. We saw her. She got called up with the U23. She's had a really good youth career with the U.S. national team. This is the time to step up and elevate. So I was stoked to see her name, not just because she went to UCLA, but I think she's proved a really, really good pro. And this was the next natural step for her to elevate her game. Which one of those, though, stood out to you the most?
I mean, I'm with you. I would venture to say, and I know we're going to get into the weeds in this when we do other episodes specifically around NWSL, but as we reach that midway point of the season, some of those end of year award type of conversations are going to start to kind of maybe narrow themselves down. And I think obviously Riley Turner is doing incredible things, but I think Lily Real is one of these players that has built a case for herself.
Mm-hmm.
It's why she's on this national team roster. They want to see it. The coaching staff has, Emma Hayes has kind of reinvigorated, rebooted that U23 program. And within that, for those players who are quote unquote not ready right now, so to speak, they get a shot in there, and maybe what comes out of that, they get in a future opportunity on a national team roster. And we're seeing that in Lily Real. And it's a unique opportunity, I think, for the coaching staff, because along with Abello and Izzy Rodriguez, Lily Real is one of these 3 left-footed outside backs in the mix of this national team roster. So I'm very, very curious how, when, and where, and if some of these players are going to be utilized by Emma Hayes across that back line. She did do some media availability shortly after this roster dropped. I sat in on it, Darian, and I wanted to ask about that because Gisele Thompson is also back on this roster. And I was very curious if there is still some of that game plan from the coaching staff to want to try to see Gisele Thompson and what she could provide across lines. Will we get to see her positionally in different scenarios? Because that was essentially the plan for last window, but she had to pull out with an injury. Emma Hayes said they'd like to see that, but she is listed on here as a defender for a reason. There is no Emily Fox. She is among a handful of players who's not in this camp, because Emma Hayes has already gone on record and said that there were going to be European-specific club playing players who will not be part of this window, with the lone exception being Naomi Girma. And to Naomi Girma's credit, it's part of the plan. She wanted to be in the mix for this national team window because she understands that there was a lot of this first half of the year that she really hasn't been a part of that team. So she wanted to get the extra camp and she wanted to get the extra games. And so with Gisele Thompson, Abello, Rodriguez, Real, there's some options here for this coaching staff to kind of maybe play around with some things. And 3 games as well. That's a lot more games than we typically see in just like a brief window. So I have a feeling that maybe we'll get to see a little bit of a rotation in that aspect. But in terms of players that I absolutely want to see get minutes, yes, Lily Real is 100% on there for me, as is Izzy Rodriguez as well. And
we have to give credit to Lola Bonta, because on our Monday show, she shouted out Izzy Rodriguez. We had her, McCall, and I talked about unsung heroes of our careers, past and present. And Lo waxed poetic about Izzy Rodriguez. And friend of the show, we did a dope interview with her post-game, and she talked about how she's just the backbone of the team. She puts the team before her. She's one of those players that makes a locker room. So then to hear all of that behind the scenes, how great she is on and off the pitch, to then get the call up, shout out. Lo called it out.
I'm like, hype it up, gas it up, let's do it. And the numbers are there too. Like that's something that Emma Hayes has kind of like leaned on a little bit as well. Like whenever anyone's just like, hey, like what is it about this player that got them back in the mix? And she said that this is a player that has caught her eye for some time, but this is finally the window of opportunity to get her called into the mix and have her, be part of this national team camp and see what she does. I mean, this is a player that's like within top 4 of players who have like created chances created for Kansas City. And she's number 2 on the team in like everyone. Let's talk about like XG. I'm here to talk about XA, and that belongs to Izzy Rodriguez with 1.82. So she's second, like only beat out by like Debinha, like someone who has put together, a crazy MVP caliber type of season in the first 10 weeks of the regular season. So to kind of put up these numbers and kind of have them like on a consistent basis, I think those are the things that are going to catch the eyes of an Emma Hayes and her coaching staff and her scouts. So I love to see things like this kind of come to fruition. It's why we're going to also see Claudia Dickey, the goalkeeper, back in the mix for this as well. And I think maybe that's another one of those big question marks.
Yeah.
There's no Fallon Tullis-Joyce in this one. She is one of those European-based players that Emma Hayes says, you're going to get some time off. Get out of here. Go try and enjoy your summer. When you're looking at this trio of goalkeepers, we're talking Manny McGlynn is leading the race here with a whole whopping 3 caps for goalkeeper. Angelina Anderson, Claudia Dickey with 0. Like, there's 3 games here. Is there a chance that we see a game apiece for these goalkeepers?
I hope so. It's a big opportunity. My perspective on this is, yes, give PTJ her rest, let her go be a marine biologist, and use some of her off time to do that. She's such a badass.
Yeah.
But I think she's number 1. I think it was so clear in the last call up how she's been with Manchester United, the level that she's brought, how we've seen her grow from her first cap to this has been super impressive. So for these other keepers, 3 games, it's a huge opportunity. Can you instill the principles and can we see it play out with some confidence and authority to get that second competing for first position that's going to push this goalkeeping position even more so than we're seeing right now?